Welcome to the next part of our series. Now, this is going to be kind of a mini series looking at different things that might be going on with maybe your child, or maybe you started to notice things within yourself. Maybe you started to notice that you're struggling. We hope that these resources just help you. As with all of our resources, we put them on our website, and we hope that it's just a bank of content that you can dip in and dip out of. But we want to constantly refresh. We want to be looking at things that you might be going through, and we want to just give you a bit of advice. But ultimately, we want you to know that you're not alone. We want you to know that there's people out there who love you, who care about you, and this support is there. So we just want to help you access it, and we just want to facilitate a range of conversations that could maybe just help you on that journey. So today, I have the amazing Phyllis Coulter with me. So it's really exciting that we have her today. So we're going to jump into the conversation, and we're going to be focusing primarily on parents. So if you're a parent, or if you're someone who has children or young people, or looks after children or young people, or works with children or young people, you want to hear this conversation. So Phyllis, thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome.
We are really, really excited that you're here, and we just really thank you for your wisdom today. Could you just tell everyone a little bit about yourself, and maybe how you got into counselling, how you wanted to work with children and young people, just whatever you want to share.
Sure. First of all, Zara, thank you for saying I'm amazing.
You are amazing.
That's always encouraging. So my journey with my interest in psychology, especially with young people, started about 30 years ago. And ever since then, I've tried to equip myself and others to understand our developing brains and our amazing young people. So children of my own around that age, and I just suddenly realized there was a whole world of brain development that I had never really thought about. Wanted to communicate properly with my own children. And so my interest in that area of psychology began. The idea then that therapy found me is what I like to say. Yeah. So I was doing this for personal journey as well as just a general professional development, but then started to get requests and conversations that I was hearing about parents and children maybe misunderstanding each other. And so I turned my professional focus then on working with young people and their parents for everyone's benefit.
Oh, I love it. And obviously, as you know, I have done your course, and honestly, I can recommend that to anyone. So good. Phyllis, you run the course with children and young people, training other counsellors to work predominantly with children and young people, and the family aspect is massive in that. So highly recommend, but also just everything that you say, like, you are amazing. And I think what comes across from your course more than anything else is just your love for the children and young people and their families, and that you just champion everyone. You know, in other spaces, there might be young people who people write off or think are annoying or think that there's no hope for. And I think the thing that came across for me is that you hold so much hope for every child and young person. You hold hope for them, but you also love them so much.
Yes.
And just really champion them and their families. So yeah, I just love that, and I'm excited for everyone to hear. I know that I get so much wisdom from you. So yes, I'm excited for everyone to hear that today. So if we're looking through the lens of parents, like, what sort of things might be seeing? You know, if I'm a parent, we get at Made for More, we get a lot of parents contacting us saying, I'm noticing this in my child, or I'm seeing this in my child. What do I do? Or teachers and things. What do I do? As a mum myself, I know, and I totally get where they are at, because you love your kids so much, you just freak out if there's anything going on, or you don't know, or different things like that. So if I'm a parent and I'm starting to notice different changes, maybe in behaviour, just different things in communication, what should I do?
I mean, that's a brilliant question, and I will answer it. If I could go back upstream a wee bit and say, every day is an opportunity to be building and maintaining and developing your connection with your child. So in some ways, I would say, look for opportunities to talk to them, to be interested in them before you notice anything going on.
Okay.
That's, for me, is a lifelong thing.
Yeah.
Get into the orbit of your children in a way that is natural and ubiquitous. So by that I mean, don't wait for an event.
Okay.
Be wanting to connect with your children, honestly, every day.
Yeah.
If you notice that there are changes and if there's something intuitively that's concerning you, then okay, so we're in a slightly different shape then.
Yeah.
But bearing in mind that even when that has occurred, the relationship that you've had with them, the consistency that you've been showing them will be making a difference.
Okay.
And you can capitalize on that.
Okay.
So you're busy, life is busy, you're working, your career is demanding. I get all of that. So I'm not suggesting that you set all that aside and spend 12 hours with your child. Your child would hate that. So what I am saying is look for opportunities to even just connect with them on the things that they're interested in.
Okay.
And even when you start seeing changes and you're not sure what it's about, go for those conversations that are not challenging to either of you. Something that you've both seen happening on television or in your family. Look for conversations that appear innocuous and non-challenging and in non-tricky areas. Just connect with them, because that will give them an idea that you're not all about looking for the trouble.
Okay. Yeah.
So that when a tricky conversation has to happen, they have a better framework for that to take place in.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you've noticed that something is happening, something's not quite as it was, counterintuitively, I'm saying, don't just jump in at that jugular. Set the path, you know?
Yeah.
Want to just check in generally, make them laugh.
Yeah.
Give them some of your own insecurities or uncertainties. Give them something that you did recently that wasn't completely amazing, mistake that you made, you know.
Why is that? Sorry to interrupt, but why would that be important that we show kids our weaknesses or tell them kind of where we're
Good
at?
for you. We hold a lot of power with our young people, and it's the idea that we might be beyond mistakes that gives something brittle to that relationship, you know. So actually showing them vulnerability, showing them oops, I did that, I need a do-over there, levels the playing field. It also models for them that it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And that there could be a way of thinking about those without the sky falling. So you're modeling something really important. Young brains are all or nothing. So if something is bad, it's likely to be catastrophic in their mind.
Okay.
Whereas we can be a little bit of a leveler in that. It's not, you know, so your language is important. So something terrible has happened. This is awful. This will never be fixed. If you hear language like that, then you're responding to them with less extreme language. Oh,
Okay.
right. Let's talk about that. I hear that something has happened that you're not happy about.
Okay.
Or I'm hearing something that has disturbed you a wee bit.
Yeah.
Just minimize that,
Yeah.
because that's another way of modeling to them. Actually, there could be other language that I could use here
Yeah.
that would give me a better perspective.
Yeah.
So that's why we need to do it. Show them our own vulnerability and model to them that it's okay for them to engage with their vulnerability.
Yeah. That's really good. So show like, okay, well, this happened to me or this happened mum or dad and they're actually okay.
Yes.
But also that we make mistakes.
Yes.
And that's okay.
Yes.
We've still got through, you know.
Yes.
Maybe coming home and saying, Mummy had a really hard day at work today. You know,
Yeah.
or Mummy's really nervous about this
Yeah.
happening. You know,
Yeah.
we think about that. And then they think, oh, well, Mummy gets nervous too. Oh, I feel nervous. Maybe that's okay. Is that what you're
Absolutely.
talking about?
It is. I think it's important that we don't use language like, oh, that happened to me
Okay.
and I know exactly what that's like.
Yes. Yes.
So if you say, like, I had a really hard day at work today, there's a real wee melter in my office and I had to manage
no.
them. Right? That's okay.
Yeah.
But to say to a child or a teenager, well, I know exactly what that's like, that happened to me,
Yeah.
25 years ago and here's what I did.
Yeah.
You will switch them off at that point,
Okay.
right? You need to say, bad stuff happens, tricky stuff happens to me, and I'd like to know what your tricky stuff is.
Oh, yeah, that's
Because those
really
are two
good.
different things.
That's really good.
Okay.
Also, at a time, sorry, this is off tangent, but I just feel like it could be helpful for some people who maybe have smaller children who don't even know what's tricky. I remember one time you saying to me about the worry monster.
Yeah.
And getting kids to write down. Could you maybe say that? You know, sometimes when people have teenagers, well, sometimes it's easier to get stuff out of them, sometimes it's not. But with younger kids who maybe you're noticing something in them, but they don't even know what's wrong or what's kind of affected them.
Yeah.
It's just a helpful tool.
So with teenagers, it's good to go about their changes and your concerns about that a little more directly, because their vocabulary is a lot better.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about that again. But the young children might not even have vocabulary for what's wrong with them. And so you need to be really efficient with your language to a very young child.
Yep.
So when I say a young child, birth to 10, think about that reduced but growing vocabulary.
Okay.
So if you get an idea, the worry monster is a lovely idea. So if you get an opportunity to introduce the idea that you can write down what you're worried about, then you could offer to do that for them.
Okay.
But only use their language.
Okay.
And you could just get them to talk. So if you have a wee bright button who writes and talks equally well, get them to do it themselves.
Okay.
But for you to write something down and to give them that fantasy element of, let's give it to a worry monster. Let's put it in the worry monster's tummy, pull the zip over, the worry monster will look after that. There's something then, it's almost an incorporeal thing. Research is honest enough to say they're not sure how this changes the anxiety level of a child, but anecdotal evidence says it does.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the good thing for a parent at that point is you can go into the worry monster, get the note out, and know exactly what your child is trying to communicate.
Yeah.
And then you can address that with your connection with your child in the vocabulary that they would understand later on.
Yeah.
But young people, teenagers, I love the idea of giving them respect.
Yeah.
They are absolutely amazing. Their brains are full of development. Give them the respect of treating them like the young adults they are. But you need to be clever about that. You need to start with something that is not related to what you're worried about.
Okay.
Connecting with something that has happened, or just reminding them of the feelings you have for them, or the strengths and qualities that you see in them.
Yeah.
And then move to maybe some of the changes that you've noticed.
Okay.
And counterintuitively, even when you raise that, you need to give them time to think about whether they want to respond or not.
Okay.
No, everything's fine, everything's okay. If you get that, that is not the end of your journey with them. But I'm saying counterintuitively, you need to accept that at the time. Okay, look, it's been just good to have this wee chat with you. I'm here. I'd really love you to come back to me and have a further conversation if that's something you feel you can do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't push them, but let them know there's a conduit open for them, and trust the process.
Yeah, because I think that is the hardest thing as a parent whenever you get nothing. And you can quite clearly see there's something wrong.
Yeah.
You've maybe noticed things in behaviour. And I think as a parent, there's probably two different sides of the spectrum. One, which I myself fall into, which is, I really need to know this information. Like,
Sure.
you need to tell me that, like, I can notice this and I cannot sit still until I find out what is wrong with you.
Yeah.
And then there's the other side where parents kind of bury their head in the sand and maybe notice changes that they maybe should talk about, but just act like everything's fine.
Yeah.
So they're the two extremes. Obviously, there's a lot of people fall in the middle. But what actually, so if we're starting to see these things, changes in our children, like changes in the connection between you or changes in behavior that they have, or maybe they wanted to see friends and now they never want to see friends, what might be going on with our children?
Yeah. I mean, amazing question. 100 answers.
Yeah.
Right? But your intuition as a parent is really important. So if you think something is going on, that's good.
Okay.
You don't have to know the answer to approach your young person with some concern. And you're saying there, maybe they were seeing friends and they're not seeing friends. Pointing out something that you see as a change is a good way of saying, I see you.
Okay.
I get something's happening.
Yeah.
And I want to be there.
Okay.
So just point out the obvious. And even when they start to squirm a wee bit about not wanting to talk about it,
Yeah.
with your body language and your tone and your nonverbal communication, try and be as relaxed as you can. Look, I see that has happened. I'm not going to force you to go back and see those friends right away, but I'd love to understand a wee bit about what you're thinking and feeling.
Yeah.
I'd love to know if something has been happening. Don't be afraid to, communicate to your child that you may think, you may know that they're convinced that you would know nothing about it.
Okay.
So you can say words like, look, I know I'm a couple of generations removed from you. I'm not in those circumstances that you're in. I was never in circumstances like that, but I still want to know what's happening for you.
Okay.
Because if you try and say again, oh, I'm sure I know what's happening with you and I have the solution, that's a guaranteed put the walls up moment.
Yeah.
So
it's really helpful.
Try and be as relaxed as you can in all areas of your body and your language. Look, I'm really freaking out about something's not right with you.
Yeah. It's probably not the best way to approach it.
So it's minimizing your response actually can be a helpful way of bringing them forward. Because if you minimize your response by language and body, posture and so forth, you're actually telling them you're not freaked out about this.
Yeah.
And that might communicate to them, actually, a conversation with mum or dad might be useful.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And we're coming to the end of our conversation for today. Don't worry, everyone, there is a part 2. But I think one of the things that I'm just hearing from you is the foundation before there's a problem.
Yes.
So the foundation before, and just in everything that you're saying, of course, that's so important. If they don't come to you with small things or they've never, it's not going to happen with the big things. And it's even what I try and do in my own, from advice that you've given in your course, what I try and do with my own children is we small things now, and when they come to that maybe before I would have thought were big deals and maybe made a big deal out of, I'm just like, okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
And just try and lay a foundation of that's fine. So they know, okay, I can come to mum with anything and she's not going to get angry or she's not going to be cross. So I just need to be honest.
Yeah.
And really just praising the honesty of coming, there's nothing we can't get through. There's
Very
nothing
good.
we can't get through when they're trying to be young.
Yeah.
So that then hopefully that takes them into when it is a big thing when they're a teenager, or into adulthood, that conversation becomes easier. But I think just what I'm hearing from you is just that foundation of connection is really important. And whenever you hear about these big things that might be going on with them when they are like older children or teenagers, you can see how that is really important, and you can see how that's such good advice, because why would they have a conversation if they don't feel they have a relationship with you?
So just remember that every brain needs a variety of things to think about. So when you connect with your children about superficial things and funny things and practical things, then they see a broader picture of what their connection to you is. But if you only connect with your child when there's a problem, it's a very brittle foundation at that point.
Yeah.
So take the time to just be with your children. Enjoy them.
It's great. Such good advice. Thank you. Thank you, Phyllis. So that is the end of our conversation today, but there will be a part 2. So have a listen to this, and you can look online at loads of our other resources, loads of our other podcasts and different things. There's printable resources, and there's videos of talking you through how to use all of them on our website as well. So I hope you enjoyed today's conversation, and tune in again for part 2.